Hey everyone, welcome back to our series on practicing and actually just practice examples. If you saw the video last week, then you'll recognize Terri this week. She's one of my private students. I have had some questions regarding why is it that you aren't showing a classroom? I wonder what this looks like in a classroom context. Largely, it's because I don't really feel comfortable taking a video of a bunch of students at once. It requires a lot of permissions, that sort of thing. Whereas Terri's mom and dad are happy to help you by giving permission for these videos to happen. I've talked about eggs as a practice tool a lot. The reason is because I believe that the quality of practice matters way more than the quantity. So when I'm working with students either in a classroom or privately like this, I'm constantly saying, I don't care how long your practice takes. You should not be practicing 30 minutes a day. I get a lot of pushback about that, but I don't care. I'm going to hold to it for the rest of my life. I care how many times you do something correct versus how much time you take. For most students, what I find is that when you give them a timer, they end up running the clock down. So they know they have 30 minutes to practice, so they kind of piddle around until 30 minutes is done. What I do is I give my students a particular number of times to do something, and usually at the beginning of the week, that takes maybe 30, 45 minutes. But by the end of the week, it should only take 15. That's what progress looks like, right? That's what I want my students to understand. We'll talk about that more next week when we get into the actual practice notebook. Terri and I will describe that to you. For now, I want to talk about these eggs. And actually, I'm going to jump right in with Terri talking about how these eggs work. The basics is that Terri is going to play something a certain number of times in a row correctly. So what does that mean? Now what that means is that if you play it right once and then you play it right again and then you get it wrong, we have to start over.
Okay.
What do you mean okay?
That means just more practice.
Okay, all right. Here we go. Ready? Okay. I'm keeping your tabs here. Ready?
Yes. Sir.
All right, one.
Okay.
Shake your hands out. Shake your hands out.
Shaky, shaky.
Shaky, shake it out. Do you see that we just had a little bit of fun there? That's fine. Have the fun. You'll remember from last week that the reason that you shake out your hands is for a hindbrain reset. If she had kept her hands in that position to do that same thing, it would have gotten stale in her hindbrain. By shaking out her hands, it's essentially like CrossFit. It's kind of disorienting to the hands to do that. It gives them a chance to have to do the reset over and over again. It's a good thing. Okay, other than you being a dirty hand looker, that's 2 points. Keep your eyes up here, okay?
Okay.
Also, when you get to here, say in your head, 1, 2, 1, 2. Otherwise, these won't be long enough when you play them later.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead. Because I told you to look and you were used to looking at your hands.
Yeah.
I'm going to be really nice to you because it was supposed to be your forefinger. Which one's your forefinger? There you go. It was supposed to be that. Now, I'm going to be so stinking nice to you and pretend like I didn't even hear it. Because I'm so what?
Nice.
And?
Nice.
And?
Even more nice. And beautiful.
Yes.
And amazing.
You didn't have to say all
and
that.
And the best teacher.
You know what? What a sweetheart. Play it again. Are you catching that I'm playing with her? Do you see the smile on her face? She just failed. And she's got a smile on her face. So at the beginning, I said, if you make a mistake, that you have to start from the beginning. There are 100 reasons to bend that rule. It is a really good rule to use if kids are moving really fast and they're making sloppy mistakes. You go, and you slap them down in a positive way. And you say, hey, you're going too fast. You were the one who made the mistake. And you let those kids who go too fast, you let them kind of knock their heads against that wall a little bit until they learn to go a little slower. Terri was trying really, really hard. So I was willing to let her have a little bit of leeway, especially because I had given her 2 instructions. Generally, in between a practice session, as you're teaching kids to practice, you want to teach them to take on one thing at a time. I gave her 2 things. Do this counting and don't look at your hands. So I gave her a little bit of leeway on that.
Okay.
Also, don't mess up.
All right.
Yep, that's why I get paid the big bucks. Here you go.
Nope.
There you go. There it is. Oh, stink. Okay, I gotta take your 2 points away.
Okay.
All right, let's do it again. But your high score is 2. So your high score is 2. Let's see if you can beat it. So I had to take away her points, right? She was actually pretty fine with it. Some kids will be fine with it, especially if they have a lot of joy to kind of fall back on and they're having fun anyway. But some kids are going to react. So what you do is you find the positive spin. Your high score is 2. Can you get back to it? There it is. All right, 1. Do it again. Okay. Oh, but you have to shake your hands out. Okay, again.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, you've reached your high score. Now, I will warn you, you need to count 1, 2, 1, 2 when you get there. But you've reached your high score. Can you beat it?
Okay, let's see if I can.
Do you see how she has a little anxious anticipation there? That's positive. That's really positive. It's anxious anticipation with a smile. She's not worried about being punished. She's not going to be punished. It's just that gamification feeling of, can I make this next play? Can I get this next point? It's a good thing. And you want to teach all of your students to be able to do that so that when they go home and practice, they have that same energy. All right, that's 3. You've only got 2 left. Unless you mess up, then I'll take away all your points.
All right.
That's constructive adversarialism. If you don't know what constructive adversarialism is, read the book. Trust me, that is a worthwhile thing to study. Shake your hands out. Do it again.
Okay. Shaky shake.
Hey, Terri. You know what I want you to do? I won't take away a point if you mess up, but I want you to try it with your eyes closed.
Okay.
What?
I mean, I've done other songs with my eyes closed before. So.
Well, so this isn't going to be hard for you?
No.
What? All right.
I do this like every day.
All right, if you haven't read or listened to my book, Making Musicians, then you might not recognize what's going on here. But that book is structured in 4 parts. The first part is talking about what the purpose of being a musician is. Second part is getting deep into the brain, how the brain works while music is happening. Really practical, really simple. The third part is how to mix those 2 together. What you know about the brain with what you want to be creating in the students. So that's the recipe. These are the recipe instructions, the how to do it. And then the 4th part is dealing with parents and administrators. But that first part of the book where we're talking about what do you want out of a music student? What are you trying to create? We talk a lot about confidence and humility. You just saw confidence and humility. She was willing to try something because she was confident that she could do it. But do you notice she wasn't worried about making mistakes? She hasn't been worried about mistakes. That's because she's humble. She's not worried that who she is will be torn apart if she makes a mistake. That's humility. Confidence and humility are like two pedals on a bike. If you have both, you can go really far, just like Terri is. Okay, now here's why this is called an egg. See your points here? Mm-hmm. Okay, now that you've done 5 in a row, I'm going to put this shell around them, and now I can't take away your points. You win. Okay. There's a couple of things I want to address now that we finished that video. The first is, why didn't I address all the mistakes? I didn't address all the mistakes because I was more focused on what we were getting right than what needed to be improved. If you're trying to create a whole package all at once, it's sort of like trying to put a whole cake together all at once. Sometimes you have to mix the dry ingredients, mix the wet ingredients, put them together. Or it's like trying to fix a whole car engine all at once. Sometimes you have to focus on one thing. I've been in classrooms a lot when I'm coaching where a teacher will go backwards and say, okay, yeah, technically you got that right, but now we need to add this and the counting and the articulation and why we need to do everything all at once. That becomes incredibly frustrating, incredibly draining to the student. She was getting all of the notes correct. She had a little bit of a counting issue. We corrected the counting issue. I'm sure that you were probably looking at her and thinking, oh gosh, there's this, and this that she still needs to work on. And you're right. But that wasn't the right time to deal with it. The second thing that I want to talk about is the fact that this was one-on-one. So you might be thinking, oh gosh, well, sure, that's easy one-on-one. But what do I do when I have a whole group? The basics of what was going on just now is that I was teaching her how to practice with a happy, motivated midbrain. Remember that there is such a thing as a communal midbrain. When you have a group of students, you can actually influence all of their midbrains at the same time towards energy or away from energy. That's going to take a little bit of time to cultivate in your classroom, but in a music classroom, it's so easy to get everyone on the same emotional page. Then what you do is you have them work out a passage or a measure, you have them do it together, and they together earned the egg. This is something that works really well in a classroom. If you're not doing this or something like this fairly regularly, your students don't really know what it looks like to practice. They have guesses. Go home and practice. Okay, well, I'm going to play this repetitively. They've got questions about what really good practice is. This kind of exercise leaves them without questions about what good practice looks like. Good practice looks like doing it correctly many times, and it shows them how they can have joy in that. Join us next week. We're going to be talking through how to use a good assignment book. Looking forward to seeing you.